Beautiful brothers and sisters, I'm Geeia Ariati. I'm the code to unlock the matrix. Today I want to ask you a question, a very direct question around where have you unplugged yourself, disconnected yourself, or lost a gift or ability without even being aware so that you can develop, strengthen, and become stronger in other areas of your pillar, your connection to source, and your development as a unified being. So, as you sit with this question, I'd just love to invite you to come into mind heart coherence by taking a couple of deep breaths into your heart, by breathing in and out until you feel a sense of where your vibration, your mind, your heart all relaxes, yields into a state of where you can receive without as much resistance from mind as possible. So I've been here guided and dedicated to showing up every day doing a YouTube to provide information for myself, for other, and for the collective whole during this next step of our evolution. And specifically, I'm talking to a group of beings that might resonate with the words of Bringers of Change 144. Beings that are here for the Great Awakening and may perceive that they're here in borrowed time. And what we're looking at is different areas of focus that are very present. So each day I'm bringing to the awareness something that is happening at a collective whole level, something that we've agreed to move through together. And we have these cycles of evolution. We have these areas of evolvement where we're like, okay, we're going to all look at this wounding, or we're going to all try and develop this way. And we do it through the mirror effect and through recognizing that we're all one mind, and one mind that expresses in different polarities through our experience and where we witness each other. And the current now moment, there is many different things that are being unveiled. And if you enjoy this video, you might want to go look and receive some of the previous week's transmissions or educational sessions in relation to consciousness and what is present with your awareness and self, and becoming more integrated in your interpretation of your current now moment so you can make choices that are more aligned with your heart, but also have more conscious cognitive recognition of what's going on. And this is one that I want to bring forward in the form of, as I was sitting going, okay, what am I talking about, God? I was hearing nothing. I sat here for such a long period of time, or it felt like a long period, with no information. Now, for someone who is a channel, for someone who receives intuitive guidance at the drop of a hat, for someone who's asks a question and is able to find an answer that is in alignment with infinite intelligence, when you receive nothing, when you're just in the spaciousness or the void of no thing, it can be a little uncomfortable. Now, what came up was okay, well, if I'm not hearing anything but the guidance is do a video, then what is in the way of me finding the topic of conversation to bring forth and to share with these beautiful brothers and sisters, with my collective family? What is it that is in the way of me? And I started to realize that I had unplugged from my auditory senses. Now, my auditory is a huge aspect to how I've received in the world. It's actually the strongest sense that I have other than my feeling or somatic body. So my empath abilities were the strongest, and then the claircognizance and the knowing. But auditory, as I became a channel, was where I would hear the voice. I would hear the information, and I would hear it in fluent conversation. And it was only through coming on and going, I'm not hearing anything, I'm not receiving anything, what do I do? And discovering, oh wow, I have to plug back in my auditory senses. I have to plug back in my auditory knowing. I have to reinstate my auditory intuitive capacity. I have to reinstate my auditory gifts in the form of transcription. I have to reinstate auditory receiving. And so as I'm going through this plugging back in, reconnecting my circuitry and information, it became so clear. It became so loud back in my inner reality, where I started having a fluent conversation with Source again. And I was like, I hadn't even realized that this was gone. And the fluent conversation told me The reason that you've been unplugged from this is so you could develop other areas that you still had weaknesses in, and you weren't primarily focusing on one sense or one area that you had strengthened so much that if that is taken away, if it does become loud, if things change, if something happens, that you're reliant on one focus of intention, and that if stripped at any point based on whatever happens, that you're then going to fall into darkness, into shadow, into unconsciousness, because you're feeling as if you're not guided. So with that, I would love for you to feel into, where have you unplugged? Where have you disconnected? What gift ability have you intentionally, without even recognizing, removed from your current experience so that you could master another? And I want you to look at what you've been mastering and what you've been developing through these initiations, through any of the trial and error, and start to see where you were stripped of something so that you could master something else, and where this mastery might be coming to a completion so that you can reintegrate or reintroduce one of those stronger senses. And this happens for many individual beings when they perhaps are really talented in the quantum fields, and they might be really great astral travelers, or really amazing in the form of say dream state, or time travel in the form of going into the back and into the future, and discovering things around geometry, and then all of a sudden they stop having that ability, that gift, and it feels as though it's been taken from them. And I know a lot of us go through this. It's not fair. My abilities are offline. They've been taken from me. I'm not supported. I'm not looked after. But we're seeing it from that point of something that became so strong, so reliant, so in conviction, that it overrided many other areas where we can be in denial of things that are still sitting in the shadows, because we're focusing on one lens of connection to God, source, creator. And this brings up frustration. It feels like abandonment. It can sometimes feel like being outcast. And it's not that you have been taken of your gifts or abilities. It's actually something that is done for us in the form of removing that so that you can become strong in all senses, through all 6 senses of your capacity. And then you can expand actually into the further senses that we don't even consider as human senses in this reality, up into the 7th to the 14th senses. They unlock when we develop more of our abilities in other areas and we balance our field out. So we could see our senses as a representation to how balanced we are in our mental, spiritual, physical, and emotional, how balanced we are in our upper or our ascended self, or our descended self, our left and our right, being our masculine and our feminine. So whilst you're becoming aware of this area that's been unplugged, it would be beneficial to go, okay, was that an ascended expression? Was that a descended? Was it more of a masculine, a gift or ability, or a feminine? And what is it that is showing me that I was overly dominant of, that is helping to balance out and unify myself? And what is the unification point that would allow for that gift and that ability to come back online in this awareness? What if we came to the end goal now, that we were just able to go, actually, I'm going to claim all my gifts and abilities. I'm going to be a master in all of them, and I'm going to choose them all in this moment. What would be available if you brought back what maybe has been unplugged, stripped, or pulled from your experience, whilst also claiming all of those ones that you're yet to fully connect with? Can you imagine how potent your abilities would be if you allowed this? And what is the story in the way? So at the moment, and for many beings, all of the time, when it comes to the fact of denying our power, denying our gifts, or unplugging something, it's because it comes down to some aspect of, I'm not deserving of them. I'm unworthy of them, or I will use them for something that is harmful. So we tend to have these main areas of who am I to have these? What's special about me? Why should I be able to see this about myself so I can master these abilities? And these narratives of separate mind come in that prevent the cultivation of actually using them in such a potent yet God-driven way into your experience. So this moment of time is just a short explanation and offering of this so that you can really look at, and I'm going to leave you with 4 questions to sit with, to do some self-reflection. You can come into your mind-heart coherence, come into a point of stabilization, and really see what it is that uncovers here for you to unlock and further integrate your senses by bringing this awareness, handing it over to God. Either when you see the awareness, you see that it's not that truth, and that you are willing to hold and reconnect those aspects that maybe have been disconnected offline, and return to a more unified guided point. So the first question is, what gift have I deemed myself unworthy of holding? What gift have I deemed myself unworthy of holding? The second question is, where did I decide I was not good enough to be powerful? Where did I decide I'm not good enough to be powerful? When will I see that I am an infinite creator being? Or when will I see the power that exists within me, right? So the when questions, you'll start to notice I use W's in the way of very specifically asking your mind to focus on a perception of yourself to bring information. So when you ask a when, this starts to look into the forecast of your future. When will you decide you're powerful enough to hold this? Will mean that you've pointed or placed on your timeline a point of time that has a validation, a verification, or a proving point to be like, when I reach that, then I will know I'm powerful, right? So this when. And what if you brought that when into the now, into the present, and you didn't have to walk that path because you recognize it is an illusion of the separate mind anyway? And the fourth and final question is, with what will I do with my power? So, with what will I do with my power? So with that, I would love to invite you to, in the comments below, pop your questions, your reflections, your awareness. What came up for you where you're like, whoa, I actually didn't even realize that I was running without something that is a main function or has been a main function for me. And I can see why certain things have become challenging. I can see why things were frustrating. I can see why this occurred, and bring in that gratitude, and also share what it is that you're ready to claim with this new awareness, with this truth of choosing right here, right now. I am instigating and instating and cultivating all 6 of my senses and beyond in a unified expression of my being. And so it is, and so it is, and so it is. I love you. If you liked this information session, please like and subscribe. Share with someone who you feel might need to hear this message. And until next time, I love you. Ahava Adonai.